So I've been cleaning out my cloud storage of photos and screenshots from throughout my life, and I've started to keep a folder called Stupid Shit I've Screenshotted in My Life. And I'm thinking about turning this into a short series, so we're going to start with this one. It's this screenshot is of an infographic from long ago that I screenshotted from a Reddit post. I found it the best I could do is date it like 10 years ago. The dates on my photos are all sorts of weird because it's been transferred from one phone to the next and from like one cloud storage service to another, and for whatever reason some of the dates just are all screwy. And so but I tried to look into this, and I think it was about 10 years ago, but I'm pretty sure the Reddit post I found is actually older than that, and it details 7 paths to immortality. I'll save you the scientific terms, but I am going to summarize like each of these paths to get an idea of like what this infographic looks like. And I'm also going to put it in the link dump so you can actually look at it yourself. But here are the summaries of those 7 paths. First one is anti-aging genetic engineering. That's a mouthful. Anti-aging genetic engineering focuses on slowing down or reversing the aging process through genetic modifications. Clinics could implement aging diagnostics to assess patients' aging markers. Evaluating drugs based on these markers would help determine their effectiveness in extending lifespan. Researching longevity genes and extending the lifespan of old mice using these genes are like the key steps in like this pathway. And developing like quote unquote evolutionary drugs through artificial selection could create symbiotes that like enhance the lifespan. And a database linking different biological data related to aging would be crucial for comprehensive understanding. A unified aging theory and its mathematical model would provide a framework for this research. Ultimately, this method aims to create effective anti-aging medicine. And then alternatively, you have like the regenerative medicine. And this is about regenerative medications that innovate techniques for repairing and replacing damaged organs and tissues. So basically you'd be like regrowing your organs and like having a younger versions of them, and somehow you're going to be regrowing your skin too with this one. So I guess like the ultimate goal for this was growing a whole new body. Makes sense. Cryonics, shout out Disney. Cryonics focuses on preserving and restoring biological function through freezing. So improving the technology for freezing organs for transplantation, enhanced stem cells, growth factor, and cytokine cocktails for restoring frozen organs are kind of like the key areas of research for this one. And the big part of this is trying to figure out how to thaw out these people so that they could reverse the cryogenics. This to me felt more like just prolonging it and putting it off until one of the other methods worked better. That was my interpretation. Nanomedicine. So we're talking about using nanotechnology for medical applications. And these nano robots could deliver drugs to specific targets and destroy tumors. And the nanobimechanisms that integrate into cells could repair and control the genome, and full functional nanorobots that self-replicate and synthesize organic structures. This to me sounds like a terrible idea. I'm sure I could, if I looked on the internet, I could find at least 5 sci-fi movies that had this idea and it did not go well. Then we have using artificial intelligence to like train it on thousands of parameters to make better diagnoses and prescribe treatments. So like combining these AI to create more advanced systems and map the human brain and upload human consciousness into a computer is the kind of idea here. And then digital immortality, again, kind of similar to this artificial intelligence idea, but kind of preserving your human consciousness through technology means and uploading you into a computer model. And then we have the good old-fashioned cyborgization, so replacing pretty much every part of your body with machine and technology and becoming a cyborg. So I'm not a science brain, so I'm not even going to venture into trying to argue for or against any of these methods from this project. But I would love to talk to some scientists to try and hear them out on either side of this, because this stuff sounds absolutely insane. But you know what? So did cars to people in medieval times, right? So, which way could we go on that? I don't know. So, anyways, I'll probably try to wiggle my way into some scientific community and just like plot this down and see what someone says. I also work on a heavy research campus, so it wouldn't be that hard to reach on over and talk to some people about this. I've had some pretty good luck with that in the past. So if this is actually like something interesting to people, then we could probably do like a follow-up episode and talk to some scientists about like the realities of some of these and why they would be like impossible. Anyways, I have no idea why I screenshotted this. It probably like piqued my curiosity in a very brief moment, and I obviously never bothered to go back and look at it or investigate anything on this list or really do anything with this potential information. I don't remember reading it at all. As I was like reading through the 7 infographics, none of it like struck some like deep memory in my brain. So I clearly did not actually like read through it or anything. I just saw it on Reddit, screenshotted it, said, I'm going to read that later. And then I never went back. But after finding it again while cleaning up my photos, I actually did read it. And when I read it, I was like much more critical of this than I think I would have been when I first saw it like 10 years ago. And so I know that I needed to look more into this, like where it came from, who made it, and the big question of like why. So what I could find was that it was created by a Russian design studio called Art Lebedev Studio. The website tagline says, Art Lebedev Studio is a global, multidisciplinary design company. We bring deep tech approach to design for advertising, apps, architecture, books, cities, environments, fonts, graphics, identities, interfaces, patterns, packaging, products, wayfinding, and websites. Quite the list. But I do have to admit, there are some cool looking designs on this website, so they are pretty good with what they do. Clearly, they've been in the game for a while. I mean, they existed when I found this infographic more than 10 years ago. So they've had some time to get pretty good. So once I figured out that it was a design studio, I like was hoping and assuming that this was going to be like a commissioned project. And thankfully, this particular infographic was still on the website. In fact, they had a whole breakdown of their process and everything and like the different iterations of what these infographics look like as they like made and remade these for the client. And it turns out that client commissioned this roadmap was the Science for Life Extension charity, which reportedly conducts scientific conferences on social, biologic, and technical ways of extending human life. And they wanted each poster to explain a scientific method of radically extending human life. No surprises, but Science for Life is also a Russian organization. And let me tell you what, thank God for in-browser translation services, because that was a lifesaver. They had an English version of the webpage, the Science for Life Extension Foundation, charity, conference, whatever. They kind of did a little too much there. They had an English version of the website, but there's still plenty in there that was Russian, and all their videos were also in Russian, and it was like being translated into English as subtitles. So what I could find about this group is that it's still a functioning organization, and they have several projects which you can check out on their website, and they have information on their roadmap and philosophy and strategies that support like their endeavors. So they had plenty to read up on. But one thing I noticed is I couldn't find any trace of this infographic on the website. So either it's just really old and they didn't want to use it anymore, or they abandoned some of the beliefs around it, because a lot of the goals and like ideas that they talked about in the infographic, or they had shown there, was not shown in their other reading materials. And I kind of dug through a bunch of them, and it seemed like they gave up on a lot of those and are only focusing on like a couple of them. Anyways, it turns out that this organization is ran by a guy named Misha Batin. Batin sounds the most Russian of those three that I just gave. Anyways, he's the president and founder, and he's consistently uploading on YouTube. So I imagine it's him that's directly responsible for commissioning these infographics. And he reminds me of this tech billionaire who's been in the news recently, Brian Johnson, which after I checked out his website and some of his projects, I'm just going to call it now. If he doesn't already have this like health cult, then he's definitely on his way to developing one. This guy spends millions of dollars every year trying to find a way to make him immortal. I mean, there's going to be a movie written about this guy someday in the future, because he's been doing some real sketchy shit and stuff that is like entirely not authorized in the United States. So he's like flying to other countries where certain procedures are, legal to be done. And he's got like his son roped into it and like helping him, like he's using his son's genes and stuff to try and make himself immortal. I mean, this sounds like a straight up like sci-fi movie, right? Anyways, back to this Science for Life extension. They also have this like quiz on their website that you can take, and it's about whether or not to find out if you're a transhumanist. And let me tell you what, it is a wild quiz. They describe transhumanism as the idea of empowering a person through science. It is also a proposal to save as many lives as possible for as long as possible. And the goal of transhumanism is to conquer disease, suffering, aging, and ultimately death. And this is taken straight from the website. So it's transhumanism that describes our ethics best. One can even say that our entire website is an embodiment of transhumanism. End. So I took this test, and apparently I am not really a transhumanist. I have so many issues with this. It was honestly like one part more of like a trivia, and another part just telling you how wrong you are for not being a transhumanist. And like, you like having these beliefs are dumb. You should be a transhumanist. Like I'm not really, this quiz is insane. And I recommend you taking it just to see the absurdity of it. Honestly, this whole website was weird and had this like techno-human sculpt scam vibe to it. Misha's YouTube videos are weird, and this whole website is just odd. And that just sums up this whole thing. It's just weird. Okay, so that's it. That's my rabbit hole for the first part of this potential series of stupid shit I've screenshotted over the years. And let me tell you what, I promise there is so much stupid shit. In fact, I have a whole separate folder of just absurd memes that I have also screenshotted over the years. I think at one point I had this like idea of like putting together a digital library of just Shrek memes. So the amount of Shrek memes I have in there is not healthy. So I'm trimming the fat a bunch, and I might save a couple of the funniest ones and like put them on my like personal website. But we'll see. Anyways, if you want to hear more of the stupid shit I've screenshotted in my life, definitely let me know on Patreon, because that is like the best way for me to talk directly with you, because I hate social media and I would love to never open it again. But anyways, thanks for joining me on Alcove.